Hello everyone, I am Aniket Shinte and today I will be doing a risk management presentation on Amazon company. Before we dive in to the technical components of risk management, I'd like to begin with a brief introduction, not just to the concept of risk management, but what it specifically means for a company like Amazon. Amazon, as we all know, started as an online bookstore in 1994 and today it's a global power tech house. It spans e-commerce, cloud computing, digital streaming, logistics, artificial intelligence, and physical retail through Whole Foods. The company operates in over 20 countries, impacting hundreds of millions of customers and businesses every single day. But with this immense scale comes immense complexity and exposure. Amazon is not just selling products or offering cloud services. It is managing thousands of supply chain partners, securing data centers across continents, navigating regulatory landscapes, and constantly innovating in AI and automation. Each of these components introduces distinct types of risks. For example, an AWS outage can impact global financial institution. A cyber attack can compromise millions of user accounts. Delay in last mile delivery can hurt both revenue and customer loyalty. And then there are also micro and macro risks like climate change, data privacy regulations, or geopolitical shifts that can disrupt entire parts of the business. So, the purpose of risk management at Amazon is not just to prevent bad things from happening, it builds resilience to make sure that whether it's a cyber threat, a regulatory fine, or a pandemic, the company can absorb the shock, adapt quickly, and keep delivering the value to customers and shareholders. The risk management program is designed to identify, analyze, and strategically respond to such risks while also helping Amazon pursue opportunities in calculated and sustainable manner. Following are the objectives behind risk management and at Amazon. First one is proactively identifying, evaluating, and mitigating potential threats that could impact company strategic goals, customer trust, financial stability, and brand reputation. Second is implementing enterprise risk management principles into day to day life and decision making. Third is to ensure resilience, agility, and sustainability across the global value chain. In this presentation, we will explore how Amazon's risk management framework is structured, how risks are categorized and treated, and how emerging technologies like AI are transforming the risk landscape. With that, let's see the key drivers of Amazon ERM adoption. The first one is increasing regulatory oversight. Second one is rising cybersecurity threats in cloud and digital infrastructure. Third is the need for real-time visibility and monitoring across complex multi-country operations. And last but not the least, growing focus on sustainability and ESG and responsible AI. Now that we have understood the need for risk management at Amazon, let's look at how it is actually structured, what we call the enterprise risk management framework. At Amazon, risk management isn't seen as a bureaucratic layer. It actually treated as a strategic enabler. The core philosophy is that risk can be eliminated, but it can and must be managed in a proactive, scalable, and agile manner. The framework is built on six key pillars. First, there is risk governance. Amazon has a centralized system that operates through the board, audit committee, and dedicated risk and compliance teams. But governance is also decentralized, empowering business units to take ownership of their risks. Second, risk identification happens continuously through operational data, audit reports, AI-driven monitoring tools, and employee input. Third is risks are assessed using quantitative models. Amazon uses heat maps, impact matrices, and financial exposure analysis to prioritize threats. The fourth pillar is risk response, which includes strategy to treat, transfer, tolerate, or terminate a risk. For example, an Amazon might treat cyber risk by increasing encryption or transfer logistic risk through third-party insurance. Fifth is monitoring and reporting, which happens in real time thanks to the integrations with AWS and custom dashboards that track anomalies or KPIs across warehouses, cloud services, or customer experience platform. And lastly, the framework relies on culture and awareness. This is where Amazon excels. From executive suite to warehouse staff, there is a clear sense of shared responsibility when it comes to risk. There are also some Amazon specific features worth highlighting. For example, we conduct scenario simulations like what would happen if there is a massive AWS outage or regulatory backlash in Europe. These simulations inform contingency plans and improve resilience. In short, Amazon's ERM framework isn't static. It evolves with the business and is closely aligned with Amazon's strategic goals, compliance needs, and ESG ambition. Let's now move on to risk appetite and tolerance to understand how Amazon defines how much risk it's willing to accept in pursuit of its goals. Having understood the structure of Amazon's ERM framework, the next question we ask is how much risk is Amazon actually willing to take? This is where risk appetite and risk tolerance come into play. Let's start with a simple distinction. Risk appetite refers to the amount and types of risk Amazon is willing to take in pursuit of its goals. On the other hand, risk tolerance is about how much deviation or fluctuation Amazon can handle from its expected performance, particularly in critical areas. Amazon is a company built on bold experimentation, especially in areas like AI, cloud computing, and automation. In these domains, the risk appetite is high. Amazon actively encourages innovation, even if that comes with a degree of uncertainty. But when it comes to customer experience, regulatory compliance, or cybersecurity, Amazon has an extremely low to zero risk tolerance. Customer trust is sacred. One data breach or one privacy violation can damage not only the brand but also trigger regulatory penalties and legal consequences. To manage this, Amazon has a clearly defined risk appetite framework which is reviewed annually by board's risk oversight committee. This framework aligns with company's business goals and is embedded in every major decision from product development to country expansion to technology deployment. Let's take an example. When launching a new AWS product powered by machine learning, Amazon applies rigorous risk screening process. They ensure that the model is ethically sound, legally compliant, and falls within their accepted risk parameters. Similarly, for entering a new geographic market, Amazon analyzes that country's political, financial, and regulatory risk and compares it against the tolerance level. If the expected risk exceed acceptable thresholds, Amazon may delay entry or apply mitigation measures. The key here is balance. Amazon wants to stay ahead in innovation, but not at the cost of reputation, regulatory violation, or customer dissatisfaction. With that foundation, we can now explore how Amazon identifies and categorizes the wide range of risks that it faces. Once Amazon has defined how much risk it is willing to take, the next step is identifying what actually risk exists in the organization and then categorizing them efficiently. Amazon approaches risk identification as a systematic and data-driven process. Risks are constantly flagged through a range of internal and external sources. For example, a real-time operational dashboard from logistics center, AWS services, and e-commerce platform can give early signals about performance issues. Meanwhile, AI and analytics tools can scan for irregularities, potential frauds, or cyber threats. In addition, Amazon monitors regulatory trends, social media, and even customer service logs to detect reputational or compliance risks early. On these risks are identified, they are categorized into distinct groups, following globally recognized standards like POSO and ISO 31000. These categories include strategic risks, such as entering a saturated market or facing new AI regulations, operational risks, like an AWS outage or failure in last mile delivery, cybersecurity risks, which are critically given Amazon's role in cloud infrastructure, compliance and regulatory risk, like especially in markets like Europe and India, and reputational risk, which can arise from fake reviews, counterfeit products, or public backlash. Now, Amazon also has some unique risk domains. For example, risks within AWS, which faces pressure to maintain 99.9% uptime while complying with global data privacy laws, or risk for platform abuse, where third party sellers might violate standards and hurt credibility. These risks are assessed continuously but are also formally on a quarterly basis. Especially during major initiatives like new country entries or product launches, Amazon conducts risk workshops, internal audits, and uses AI-powered risk detection tools. All this ensures that no risk, whether it's a minor operational issue or a large statistic threat, goes unnoticed or unmanaged. Next, we'll see how Amazon makes sense of these risks visually through modern risk visualization tools. Following are the top strategic risks at Amazon. First and foremost is regulatory and antitrust pressure. Governments and regulators are increasingly challenging Amazon's scale and influence, particularly in areas like data handling, pricing strategies, and competition practices. In the Europe, the Digital Markets Act is forcing platform accountability, while in the US, the FTC has filed lawsuits challenging Amazon's dominance. Next, we have cybersecurity and data privacy. As the backbone of global cloud infrastructure through AWS, Amazon faces enormous responsibility. A breach could affect not just Amazon's cloud, but banks, hospitals, and governments. On top of that, compliance with complex data laws like GDPR and upcoming AI Act is crucial. Third is supply chain disruption. Amazon's fulfillment network spans oceans, countries, and millions of delivery points. Any disruption, whether from a geopolitical conflict or a pandemic, can result in delayed deliveries, stockouts, or even reputational damage. Another high impact risk is ESG and climate related disruption. Amazon has made bold sustainability promises like reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2040. But failure to meet these goals or to deal with climate driven warehouse shutdowns can hurt both brand value and compliance. Then comes technological disruption and AI ethics. Amazon is at the forefront of innovation in AI, but it also faces risk, pressure over bias, privacy, and ethical implications of automating human labor. The risk isn't just falling behind, it's also being perceived as irresponsible or opaque. The sixth key risk is talent and workforce management. With over 1.5 million laborers, employee relations are critical. From unionization efforts in warehouses to tech team turnover in AWS, Amazon faces cost, reputational, and operational continuity risks. Amazon's strategic advantage lies in how proactively it addresses these risks, not just reactively. And that brings us to the next section, strategic opportunity mapping, where we explore how risk can be turned into competitive advantage. Risk isn't always about loss. At Amazon, risk is often a signal that something in the environment is changing. And if you understand that signal early enough, you can turn it into a strategic advantage. That's the essence of strategic opportunity mapping. Let me explain how it works. Take regulatory pressure as an example. While most companies fear new compliance laws, Amazon has turned this into an opportunity. For instance, it created AWS compliance services specifically to help enterprise clients meet GDPR and HIPAA rules. What began as a risk became a high growth product line. Similarly, Amazon sustainability initiatives like frustration-free packaging and net zero logistics were initially responses to ESG risk, but now they are brand differentiators. They attract eco-conscious customers and reduce shipping costs. Labor and workforce challenges also spark innovation. Instead of just reacting to union pressures or labor turnover, Amazon doubled down on automation, robotics, and employee upskilling programs. The result is that Amazon Go stores and robotic warehouses that drive efficiency and scalability. This opportunity mapping is, is powered by tools like AI and predictive analytics, which flag underperforming markets or processes and help identify strategic opportunities, sometimes even before competitors notice them. Risk teams are also embedded in various business functions, from AWS to retail, so that insights flow directly into product and strategy planning. In short, Amazon doesn't just manage risk, it leverages it, create new growth engines, strengthen resilience, and improve its competitive edge. Let's now move on to the entire process is how the entire process is governed in the next section, which is risk governance structure. Managing risk at Amazon is not just a centralized compliance exercise, it's an enterprise wide commitment built on clear rules, deep integration, and advanced technology. Let's begin at the top. The board of directors provide overall oversight, of Amazon's risk strategy, especially for high impact areas like antitrust, ESG, or mergers. Supporting the board is the audit committee, which focuses on internal controls, financial compliance, and risk reporting. Beneath this, we have the enterprise risk committee, a cross-functional team that ensures all business units are aligned with the broader ERM framework. This committee drives Amazon's risk culture, prioritizes critical threats, and reviews treatment plans. What sets Amazon apart is its decentralized structure. Risk isn't managed only by a head office. Instead, each business unit from AWS to logistics has designated risk owners responsible for identifying, escalating, and addressing the risk in real time. There are also specialized security and compliance teams. For example, AWS has a global trust and security team that constantly monitors cyber threats. Similarly, logistic units run scenario testing for disruption like port closures or natural disaster. Technology plays a huge role here. Amazon uses governance, risk and compliance platform, that is GRC platforms, to track and report risk. It also deploys AI tools to detect irregularities, ensure compliance, and provide real-time alerts when risk exceeds tolerance level. What makes the structure effective is that it deeply aligned with Amazon's culture, particularly the leadership principles like dive deep and ownership. Every employee, from developer to delivery driver, is encouraged to own and manage the risk in their domain. This ensures that risk governance at Amazon is not only robust and multi-layered, but also agile, empowered, strategically aligned. Let's now take a deep dive into one of the most operational important tools in Amazon's risk management process, that is the risk ledger. This isn't just a list of concerns, it's a quantified, action-oriented system that tracks Amazon's most material skills, their current exposure level, how they are being mitigated, and who is responsible for this risk. Let's walk through each risk one by one. The first risk is the AWS data breach via zero-day exploit. This is a cybersecurity risk, and AWS hosts sensitive enterprise and government data. Even a single zero-day exploit could compromise national security clients or major financial institutions. The root cause of this risk is vulnerability in a third-party software library. We have given an inheritance risk score of 25, which is extremely high. The mitigation strategy for this is Amazon should deploy layered firewalls, enable continuous AI-driven anomaly detection, and enhance their zero trust architecture. The residual risk score was brought down to 9 to these controls. The status of this risk is ongoing. It is actively being monitored by AWS Trust and security systems using real-time KRIs like breach attempts per hour. The second risk is Digital Markets Act non-compliance. This compliance risk relates to new European regulations around algorithmic transparency and anti-competitive practices. The root cause is lack of explainability in Amazon product recommendation systems. Amazon launched internal algorithm audits, increased collaboration with legal teams, and began publishing transparency response towards this as a strategy to manage this risk. The residual score was 9, which control significantly reduced the threat of regulatory fines. The status is ongoing. Risk is reviewed monthly due to its fast-changing legal environment. The third risk is urban last-mile delivery delays. This is an operational risk affecting delivery times in key growth markets. Traffic congestion, vendor overload, and infrastructure challenges in major cities like Mumbai and Delhi are the root cause of this risk. The mitigation strategy is Amazon implemented traffic-aware delivery routing, expanded its local delivery partner ecosystem, and piloted electric bike fleets. The residual risk score is 4, which is now within acceptable tolerance, and the status is mitigated. Low risk monitored through delivery SLA metrics. The fourth risk is public backlash over labor practices. This reputational risk emerged from negative media coverage and union protest. The root cause was for workforce unrest, warehouse conditions, and algorithmic performance monitoring. Inherent risk score was 20, which is high, and the mitigation was Amazon engaged in PR campaign, introduced employee ethic training, and created dedicated labor relation teams. It also invested in improving working conditions and safety metrics. The status is ongoing. Risk team monitors employee sentiments via internal surveys and social media indicators. The fifth risk is counterfeit products on marketplace, a platform integrity risk with major impact on customer trust. The root cause is inadequate seller screening on Amazon Marketplace. The mitigation strategy was to roll out Project Zero, which enhanced seller KYC policies and launched brand registry tools for IP protection. The status of this risk is ongoing, monitored by automated fraud detection tools and customer complaint trends. Risk number six is CO2 emissions breaching climate pledge targets, an environmental risk with both regulatory and brand implications. The root cause was heavy use of air freight and fossil fuel based delivery fleets. The mitigation measures taken were massive investments in electric delivery vans, AI optimized routes, sustainable packaging, and renewable energy powered data center. The status is ongoing, but trajectory is positive. Amazon tracks emissions per package and carbon offsets. The seventh risk is ethical risk in Alexa's AI language model. This strategy plus ESG risk deals with bias and misuse of Amazon's virtual assistant Alexa. The root cause was biased NLP training data, lack of explainability in decision logic. Mitigation was established and at the AI ethics board deployed bias testing framework and implemented user transparency features for Alexa responses. The status is in progress under close review as AI regulations evolve globally. The eighth risk is current currency volatility in Latin America, a financial risk due to macroeconomic stability in markets like in Brazil and Argentina. The root cause is currency depreciation, inflation, and political risk. Mitigation taken was Amazon use hedging contracts, multi-currency treasury models, and monitors economic indicators via dashboard. The status was accepted, the risk is manageable under current thresholds. All of this enables Amazon's leadership to prioritize risk treatments, allocate resources efficiently, and maintain strategic resilience. Now that we have seen how Amazon manages and tracks, assesses, and uh, mitigates risk, let's explore what happens next. How company actually treat those risks. Amazon follows a globally accepted risk treatment approach based on four key strategies: treat, transfer, tolerate, and terminate. Let's break down with real examples. For example, with risk number one, the AWS data breach risk, this was a high priority cybersecurity threat. Amazon chose to treat this risk by strengthening perimeter defenses, deploying real-time AI threat detection, and patching known vulnerabilities. The residual risk was brought down to a manageable level. Risk number two, regulatory compliance with the European Digital Markets Act. Again, Amazon treated this risk by embedding legal teams into product development and conducting internal audits on algorithms. This has not only reduced risk but also created a strategic compliance advantage. Reputational risk from labor practices is the fourth risk. Rather than ignore this, Amazon treated it by improving warehouse conditions, increasing wage transparency, and launching public facing accountability reports. These efforts have improved employee relations and helped rebuild public trust. The risk, which was related to counterfeit marketplace products, here Amazon used a combination of treat and transfer strategies. They introduced enhanced seller verification system while also partnering with brands to share the responsibility of higher IP enforcement. The result was a visible drop in counterfeit activity. The sixth risk was carbon emissions and climate risk. In this case, Amazon treats the risk by investing in electric vehicles and sustainability practices, but also chooses to tolerate a portion that cannot be immediately eliminated, using carbon offsets as a balancing tool. In the eighth risk, which was foreign exchange volatility, since Amazon operates in many countries with unstable currencies, it transfers this risk to financial institutions through hedging contracts and swaps. Now, these treatment strategies aren't static. Amazon uses governance, risk, and compliance platform to track treatment progress and identify gaps. If a risk residual score remains high for too long, it's flagged for executive escalation. Treatment plans are reviewed quarterly, adjusted based on changing conditions, and always aligned with Amazon's broader strategy. In essence, Amazon treats risk not just to avoid problems, but to build resilience, enable innovation, and maintain stakeholder confidence. Up next, we'll look at how Amazon continuously monitors risk in real time and ensures that their entire risk landscape stays dynamic, adaptive, and future-proof. In the next section on dynamic risk monitoring and reassessment. In today's world, environmental, social, and governance isn't just about doing the right thing. For Amazon, it's a core risk domain that influences everything from operations and compliance to brand value and investor trust. Let's break this down. From an environmental perspective, Amazon faces scrutiny over CO2 emissions from its global delivery fleet and massive data centers. Failing to meet its own climate pledge to be net zero by 2040 could result in not just reputational fallout, but also future carbon taxation liabilities. Socially, Amazon has dealt with increasing pressure over its labor practices, practically in warehouses. This includes criticism over working conditions, union suppression, and automation driven job risk. Any further reputational hits in this space could weaken stakeholder trust. Then there is governance, especially around AI. Amazon is a global leader in AI through Alexa, AWS, and recommendation systems. But as AI regulation expands, Amazon faces serious risk of non-compliance, algorithmic bias, and opaque decision making. These could trigger not only customer pushback but also legal action. So, what is Amazon doing? Quite a lot, actually. It launched a company wide climate pledge, investing billions into electrifying its logistic fleets, building carbon neutral data centers, and adopting sustainable packaging solutions. Socially, Amazon has rolled out $1.2 billion employee upskilling program, which enforces a $15 per hour minimum wage and continues to improve workplace safety. From a governance standpoint, Amazon has started conducting AI ethics audits, reports through internationally recognized sustainability frameworks, and includes ESG specialists in enterprise risk committee. Crucially, ESG metrics are now embedded into Amazon's key risk indicators, executive performance reviews, and board level reporting. But the work is far from done. In the years ahead, Amazon will face increasing ESG risk pressures, including stricter disclosure mandates, rising climate related regulations, and calls for transparency in automation and AI. This is why Amazon treats ESG not just as a brand obligation, but as a strategic, legal, financial, and operational risk domain that deeply integrated into its enterprise risk management system. Up next, we will explore how Amazon prepares for risks that are unpredictable, high impact, and extreme. Risk management isn't just about what's likely to happen, it's about preparing for what could happen, especially when the stakes are existential. At Amazon, this approach is formalized through scenario planning for extreme risk. The goal is to predict the future, not no one can, but to ensure that Amazon can withstand it, whatever it takes. Take a few examples. Amazon has run simulations for coordinated ransomware attacks on its AWS cloud regions. In such a scenario, the consequences would be global. Millions of businesses, hospitals, and governments rely on AWS. That's why Amazon stress tests multi-region failure system and keeps recovery protocols updated. Another example is geopolitical risk. What happens if China or US imposes sudden restrictions on AI exports, or if a conflict disrupts the semiconductor supply chain from Taiwan? Amazon scenario tests how such shocks could impact AWS, device manufacturing, and even delivery timelines. Climate risks are also tested. What if flooding takes over fulfillment centers in California, or wildfire force evacuation of warehouse staff in Europe? Amazon runs stress simulations for these types of disruptions and prepares a real-time playbook to reroute logistics and inventory. During COVID-19, the value of prior scenario testing became evident. Amazon quickly activated protocols for PPE distribution, surge hiring, temperature checks, and inventory prioritization, much faster than many competitors. The company uses AI-based simulation models, geopolitical intelligence tools, and even internal war games involving senior leaders across AWS, logistics, PR, and legal to rehearse crises before they can happen. The real benefit of all this, it builds resilience. It helps Amazon avoid panic during crisis, close gaps in readiness, and protect customers, employees, and shareholders even under worst case conditions. In short, scenario planning transforms the unpredictable into manageable, and that's what defines a mature risk culture. Next, we'll explore why traditional ERM approaches alone aren't enough and the limitation that companies like Amazon must overcome to stay ahead. As we are near to the conclusion of this presentation, let's reflect on where Amazon goes next. Amazon already has a robust and forward-thinking risk management framework, but the pace of disruption in technology, regulation, and global volatility means standing still is not an option. Our first strategic recommendation is to scale AI-based predictive intelligence. While Amazon already uses AI for anomaly detection, there is an opportunity to build predictive models that can scan geopolitical headlines, regulatory changes, or social media chatter, giving the company early warning signals before risks materialize. Second, ESG must become a core input to risk appetite, not just a compliance checkbox. Embedding ESG data into operational decision will help Amazon stay ahead of regulatory and reputational pitfalls, especially as carbon regulations and social impact standards tighten worldwide. Third, we recommend building a dedicated supply chain risk intelligence center. This would aggregate real-time data on weather patterns, geopolitical developments, and port activity to help Amazon reroute and reprioritize logistics in a crisis. Fourth, as AI becomes central to everything Amazon does, from AWS to Alexa, the company needs a holistic AI risk management office. This team would ensure algorithms are not just effective but are also compliant, unbiased, and explainable, protecting both customers and the brand. Fifth, we advise elevating risk culture internally. That means educating every employee that not just executive on how risk impact their decision from packaging, engineering to delivery drivers. And finally, Amazon would benefit greatly from a centralized digital risk hub, a command and control platform that pulls together real-time KRIs, instant reports, audit updates, and external risk feeds all in one dynamic dashboard. These strategies would not only enhance Amazon's current capabilities, they would future-proof its risk posture, enabling innovation to continue without compromising resilience. So now we'll conclude with some reflections on how Amazon's ARM journey position it for long-term success. Thank you.